Trying to do 27 screens at one time. Hold on. Hope somewhere in here a camera is turned on. Hello, Hannah. I'm just, not that it matters, but if you want the most aesthetically pleasing view, it's not Facebook, because I'm using my laptop and this looks like a camera from 1954. Instagram looks much prettier, I'm just saying. I also changed my angle today because the lighting yesterday was terrible and the background was hideous, and I'm trying, guys. It's also very warm and I want to take this off, but then like the line of my bra, you don't notice these things until you turn the camera on. Today we're going to talk about habits, everyone. If this is your first time ever hanging out with me, I apologize that I just gave you a full rundown on everything that's happening. I like to just chat it up in the first few minutes because people are getting on. We want to take a minute before we jump in. Yesterday we talked all about health and my perception of health, and that I think health should be about having energy to feel good and pursue the life of your dreams, and should not be about looking a certain way or having a certain body type. So that was where we started the conversation. If you didn't see that, please, you can go back. It's on IGTV on Instagram, and it's on Facebook if you want to rewatch yesterday's episode. But thank y'all so much for coming back and joining me again. Today we're going to talk about habits, possibly one of my favorite topics ever. I have written about habits for years, and it's one of those things that I feel like I've talked about so much that there's a chance at some point y'all are going to just it's going to become white noise. You're going to stop listening to me, but I want you to fight that urge, because if you want to have a high quality of life, then you have to have high quality habits. I really, truly, fundamentally believe that. So today we're going to talk all about how to manage habits, like negative habits in your life, how to amplify great habits, and how to make sure that when you're trying to build habits, you're not just doing it from a place of, a negative, trying to make something better, which I'm going to explain in a minute. But to jump into this topic, because there's a whole chapter on habits in the new book that comes out in a couple of weeks. I started this chapter yesterday, and I thought I would read a little bit more, just the tail end of why I am obsessed with habits before we jump into today. So I'm not obsessed with great habit creation because those habits make the good days better, though that's an incredible added bonus. I'm obsessed with great habit creation because habits make the bad days bearable. As I type these words for you, so I wrote this, I was working on this several months ago, and I've already lost my place. As I type these words for you, I'm not sure if I've ever gone through any season as hard as this one that has also been so demanding on me professionally. Said another way, I've never been simultaneously physically, emotionally, and mentally drained, but for totally different reasons. I can understand that many people would say, you're going through a divorce, take some time off of work. But unfortunately, I'm going through the end of my marriage in the midst of a global pandemic and a despairing economy and massive societal change. And we are nowhere near the end of any of this. I have a team of people counting on me to be strong and keep leading well so that they still have jobs. I have children counting on me and my family counting on me, and a series to finish shooting and this book to edit, and a good example I am determined to set, which was all a build-up to tell you that as I type this sentence, I'm eating an apple and raw almonds. 8 years ago, I got through much less intense times with vodka and fries and burritos the size of my forearm. I would stress eat and binge eat and drink too much because those were the only habits I had when life got hard. Last night, during a difficult conversation with Dave, I closed my eyes and centered myself by breathing. This morning, I woke up and I worked out like I do every single day. Today, even in the midst of stress, I reach for healthy things for my body without conscious thought. I have changed my anchors, evolved my habits, and in doing so, I have made the good days great and the bad days bearable instead of self-destructive. Whatever hard thing you're going through or will go through in the future is already going to suck enough on its own. Don't add to the pain by hurting your body, your mind, your soul by reverting to bad habits. So that is that's from the new book, specifically talking about habits and why I think they matter so dang much. So let's start in a different place than we normally do, actually. Let's start with, do you have habits in your life that bring you joy? Now, don't roll your eyes and don't think that I'm being a hippie or a Pollyanna, though I am certainly that. I want to ask this question because I was on a phone call yesterday. I was doing press for the new book. Sorry, I just saw this. The team is posting this in Facebook and on Instagram. It's in the bio. We made a little PDF one sheet for you today if you want to print it out and do some work and kind of dig in and read through. We made one for you. We're doing this for free because on Saturday we have our last conference of the year. Rise Live is our virtual conference. It's called Healthy and Happy. It's all about how do you have the energy and the momentum to live the life that you want to live. So that's happening on Saturday, 9+ hours of programming, incredible keynote speakers. You can find out all about it on the Hollis Code. The girls will post it. But I'm doing these coachings. I did it yesterday, today, and tomorrow for an hour each because the least expensive ticket is $40, but I understand that not everybody has $40. So this is my chance to show up for you and just give you this time so that if you're not able to take part with us on Saturday, man, I totally understand, and this is a moment for you. But back to this idea of habits that bring you joy. So I started doing press for the new book, and really kindly, almost every person that I've spoken to has asked me at the beginning of the conversation, how are you? How are you doing? And I assume that's because maybe they follow me on social and so they know what's going on in my life and for my family, and it's very kind of them to check in. But yesterday, one of the people that I was talking to said something like, I mean, how are the days even for you? Like, how are you, I don't know how to say it, but sort of like implying that it was just awful. Like, man, are you doing okay? You're like, she was sort of really leaning into that. And as I started to talk to her about how I was doing, she said, do you have any rituals or routines or habits that you're doing that are helping you to feel okay even in the midst of what's going on? And I had this like epiphany in that moment of how joyful my life is, how content my life is, how happy my life is, even in the worst seasons, even in the hardest times. And this year has been, oh my gosh, this year, hold on, sorry, I just want to get caught up on these things. This year has been hard for so many of us, right? But even in the midst of it, I have had these moments of levity and these moments of joy, and I do think that that's one of the great things about human beings is that we can hold both joy and sorrow simultaneously. I really, truly believe that that's what makes us exceptional, right? Like we can hold on to both of those things. And so for me, I was thinking about these rituals that I have in my life that I get so much pleasure out of that are the simplest things in the world. A gratitude practice. Oh, everyone's saying it's frozen. Hold on. It's frozen. I can't see it. Me too. Skipping. Same. Dang it. Okay, hold on. Hold on, everybody. Maybe go. Not freezing for me, which is surprising. Keeps freezing. Okay. Should I log off? Sorry, Instagram. Hold on one second. I'm going to get back to this topic of habits. I don't know what to do. I'm going to try. Okay. I'm going to go out Facebook and I'm going to come back in and we're going to see. Everyone, cross your fingers. Let's see what happens. Sorry. Oh, sorry, Facebook. Don't know. Not freezing for me because you guys are on Instagram. So Instagram's killing it. But apparently Facebook's having trouble. So let's try this. Thank you for your patience. We didn't have any problems yesterday. So I don't know why we're having problems today. You know what? Hold on. Let me shut off the internet over here. Like your grandma. I'm still here. This is the worst live stream ever. There we go. Thank you. We're going to shut this off. Turn off the Wi-Fi. Turn off the Wi-Fi. I'm back. Oh my gosh, this is terrible. It's fine. Everyone, we're all okay. We're doing great. Luckily, this is free, so nobody get too upset. That's high quality programming. Just give me one baby minute because I really want to talk about this because I want to talk about how you build these habits in your life. Where are we? Here we are. Where do I go live? Here I go live, and we're here. She's got it. Someone's going to rush in here in a minute and be like, Rachel doesn't know how to work the internet. Instagram, you're great. You look fabulous. Thank you for being here. Oh my gosh. Let's just go live and I'll add a title later. We're going to go live. 3, 2, 1. Hold on. Let's see if that works. I don't know if it will. Let's give them a minute. Instagram, how you doing? Anyone have any questions about habits while we wait for Facebook to jump back on and hope that my laptop wants to work this time? Right. We got it. Thank you. Y'all are the best. People are dropping like flies. You're like, what is happening? Okay. Maybe. Let's see if that worked. Got it. All right. Facebook. I shut it off. I came back on. My fingers are crossed that this works for you. We're going to see. Let me know. Will y'all let me know if it's skipping? Someone said, you need people in there with me. Like, what are they going to do? It's just internet. Okay, great. All right, good. Back on Facebook. Can someone on Facebook let me know if it's working? Great. Darby says I'm good. I'm going to just go for it. Okay, let me get back into this idea. So what I was saying earlier was that someone had asked me, were there any habits or rituals in my life that were like helping me to cope in this time period? And I understood in her asking that question that she was assuming that I was like barely clinging on, right? Like I'm barely holding on. And certainly there were times in this year where it felt like that. But I do think that I have spent so much time building a life around simple moments of joy, simple moments of happiness, things that give me peace. I truly have built my days around these things. And in doing so, even when things are hard, I have such a blessed life. I have such a blessed life. And I was thinking about how important that is because most of the time when we talk about habit creation, people are looking for a habit that will help them reach a goal, right? You're looking for a habit that will help you achieve whatever it is that you want to achieve. You're looking for a habit that will give you results instead of trying to create habits that will make you feel peace, that will bring you closer to center, that will bring you closer to your faith, that will bring you closer to the people that you love most. So I think it would be really powerful to ask ourselves, what kind of habits are we creating to have the life we want to have? And having the life you want to have is not, I'm not talking about like, oh, you're on a yacht with DJ Khaled and like you're, right? Like I'm talking about really small moments of blessings. It's why I talk so much about a gratitude practice. If you're taking notes and you haven't heard me say this before, I want you to write down a gratitude practice every single morning. And here's what I've come to the conclusion on. I do share a lot of the same information over and over, but here's what I've decided. If you are doing it, then you are in agreement with me because I have never in my life met someone who had a daily gratitude practice and regretted it, ever. So if you're already doing it, awesome. If you're not doing it and you've heard me say it before, then this is your reminder from your big sister Rachel how important it is to take that time every single day and be intentional about looking for blessings. So even though you've heard me say it before, maybe I'm going to say it again. Here is my key to the habit of a gratitude practice. every single day, I write down things that I am grateful for that happened in the last 24 hours. It has to have happened in the last day, and they cannot be big things. You can't write down things like, oh, I'm grateful for our home, or I'm grateful for my family. Not that you aren't grateful for those, but those are very easy to take advantage of, and to sort of, those are very easy to take for granted. And if you're writing down things like that, you don't force yourself to stop and think. If I just know that I can go in and write down, I'm grateful for mom and dad and Mima and Jackson and Noah and whatever, then I'm not present in that moment. I'm making a list. And you and I don't need one more list in our lives. We need moments of presence. And so for me, if I sit down with a notebook with, I do it in a Start Today journal, but you can do it in any piece of paper that you have. And I ask myself, what happened in the last 24 hours that was a blessing? Right? What happened that was something beautiful in my life? I sometimes have to sit there for a minute and really think of a good answer. And then I'll remember, oh my gosh, Noah told me like the sweetest story about her friend from preschool, right? Or my gratitude this morning was, you guys know I do my green smoothie every day. And I use it so much that my bullet blender burned out. That's how much I'm making smoothies over here. So I burned it out. And then I was like, I think there's one at Dave's house, and I don't know. So I text him like, hey man, do you use a bullet blender, or can I have that bullet blender? And he's like, you can totally have it. I don't use this thing. And so I got a free bullet blender, which made me really happy. It's like these silly things, but that's not silly. There's something more, there's always something richer to every single thing that I write down in the moments of blessing. So I can unpack it for you. Finding a moment of gratitude for Noah's friend at preschool is 6 months ago, Noah couldn't leave the house, and we couldn't go out, and we couldn't play with friends. And so I'm incredibly grateful that here in Austin, her preschool's found a way to do a class with 5 kids, right? And to figure it out and to do it in a way that's socially distanced and safe and keeping everybody safe and happy. And she gets to be around other little kids, which is so important. She's 3. So important for her, right? Not only am I grateful that she's back in school, I'm grateful that I live in, I could unpack this all day. I'm grateful that I live in a country that allows girls to be educated. I'm grateful that I have the finances to send Noah to a preschool, because I understand that not everybody does. If I'm writing down that I'm grateful I got a free bullet blender, what I'm really grateful for is that even in the midst of a separation, I have a relationship with Dave that I can text him that. And not everybody gets that. Not every family has it as they do something really difficult. That is a blessing so great it's almost a miracle. Every single thing that I write down, there's something deeper there. If I write down, and I do a lot, like, oh, I love my morning cup of coffee. I love the ritual of that practice of, my coffee pot turns on at the same time my alarm goes off, and I get up and I get my coffee and I read my book. And even in that, it's not about the coffee. It's about the deeper meaning of that habit. It's about the fact that I live in a house where I'm safe, and I can afford the coffee. I can afford the coffee pot. I get to read books. I know it sounds so cheesy, but if you can't be grateful for those tiny moments in your life, if you need big, extravagant things to find beauty in your life, if your habit is that it's got to be something massive for you to appreciate it, you're screwed. You are. If the only time that you feel grateful is when you get to go on a tropical vacation, you are missing life. If the only time that you feel at peace as a parent is when the kids are all well behaved and perfect, it must be that you're feeling that in the middle of the night after they've gone to bed. We have to be able to create a habit that's about having the kind of life that we want to live, not about achieving certain results. I want to tell you how to have a habit to have a tighter stomach or a firmer butt. Screw that. How is that going to serve you in your life? Versus habits that bless your body, that bless your heart, that change your mindset, that change your perspective, that say that no matter how hard life gets on us, we will find a way to hold both pain and joy simultaneously. Okay, so let's go to our PDF here. We're talking about how to make habits stick, and the team is here. They are they'll in the bio on Rise, and then here on Facebook they'll actually post the PDF if you want to grab it. But the first thing that we talk about here is how to make a habit stick, right? So tell me, I'm gonna get more comfortable. Tell me, raise your hand, give me a heart, if you have ever started a habit and you started out really strong and you were feeling really good and then you lost your momentum. Like, raise your hand, give me a heart, be honest, be truthful in this space right now. That's because it's easier to find motivation than it is to do a habit consistently. Most people, oh dang it, Facebook's frozen again? Okay, Facebook, I'm really sorry. Go to Instagram, okay? Just go to Instagram. I'm going to say it 4 times. Go to Instagram because I'm about to shut this off. Go to Instagram. Go to Instagram. It's Ms. Rachel Hollis on Instagram. If you want to keep watching, I'm so sorry. We'll take this video. We'll post it later so you can watch it. But if you want to watch it live, this is my last chance. You're going to go to Instagram. I'm sorry about the crappy internet, and I'm just going to go now, and I love you. Sorry. Hold on, Instagram. Whoop, that didn't even close. Okay, great. Wouldn't it be terrible if it wasn't me, but it was actually just like those people had bad internet? Okay, let's talk, you guys. So most of us have experienced a time in our lives where we started out and we're really excited. Usually it happens around a big life event. It's a major birthday, something big has changed in your life, it's New Year's, it's a Monday, there's something external that's happening that's getting you excited about this thing that you want to do. So just out of curiosity, thank you, Deb, I'm glad you know. So just out of curiosity, y'all tell me, will you comment and tell me what are some of the habits that you've started to do and then feel super discouraged when it stops? Can you comment right now and let me know? Hold on, I'm going to fix this. And also, while you comment, I'm going to take this off. And I understand that my bra line is showing, and I don't know what to do about that because I didn't anticipate taking this jacket off, but it's very hot. All right, here we go. Posture. That's a habit that you want, or you're telling me to have better posture because I know it. Meal prep, yes. Sleeping in, working out. Stretching, daily yoga practice, absolutely. Healthy eating, exercise and waking up early, drinking more water, starting my own small business so I wouldn't have to be employed by other employers. Yes, right. Yoga, running. Okay, all the things I'm seeing from you guys. Sorry, I'm trying to get comfortable and have this conversation. It's because we get into, for lack of a better word, we get into state. Right? Like we get excited about something. I talk about this all the time with my girlfriends about never go shopping in state, meaning you're feeling good, you're happy, you're like, I'm amazing. Maybe you went to dinner with your friends back when we all got to go to dinner. Maybe you went to dinner with your friends or you're on a date with your partner and it's all going great and you're feeling good and looking good and you stop in a store, you go in a store and you're like, can I pull off a lace camisole and some short shorts? Like I know that I'm, 53, but I'm feeling it. Like have you ever gone shopping? Just go with me for a minute. Have you ever gone shopping and bought something that at any other time in your life you're like, I definitely can't pull this off, but there's something in that moment that you're like, Daisy Dukes. I didn't know that I was meant to have Daisy Dukes, but clearly I am, right? Has anyone ever experienced that? You buy the thing, you're feeling good, you're like, what? Yes, this is me. I never knew I was this person. And then you go home, and the next day you look at what you bought, and you're like, what on earth? Right? Because you bought that thing in state. You were having an emotional experience inside of yourself that made you feel like that thing made absolute sense. The same thing happens to us when we're excited about trying something new. You get really excited about your health journey, and so you go to Lululemon and you spend way too much money buying all the things, right? Or it's a new year and you're like, this is the year, I'm doing all the meal prep, and you get all the things ready and you go buy the groceries, whatever. Or you go to the grocery store as your best self in state and you buy only kale, and then you get back home and you're like, right? This is not, dang it. And you get so mad at yourself because you're like, wait, I was so on this. Like, right? The first week that I started doing this thing, I was so on it. I was so into this health project. I was so into moving my body. I was so into hydrating. I was so into this thing. Why is it gone now? Because the experience that you were having, the energy that you were generating, the state that you were in has changed. So many people ask me, the life you just stopped? I don't think so. I just gotta know. Are y'all having trouble? Is anyone watching this?
Are y'all watching this? No. Hardwire in. Caitlin thinks we should hardwire in.
Man, this is the worst. Wait, Instagram. Tell me if you are able to see me right now. Because I keep getting, the devil's trying. Satan's trying to get us today. Satan is trying to knock this off Facebook. Okay, you guys are saying hello. You could see me. No problem, it's fine. I'm going to keep going. Just try. We're all good. Okay, I'm going. I'm just going to keep going. Someone's going to get something out of this, or I'm going to repost it later. Okay, listen up. You were in an emotional state when you made the decision to do that thing. Lots of times at the beginning of a new year, we're in an emotional state. We buy a gym membership. If you've ever broken up with someone, who's ever broken up with someone and cut all their hair off or got bangs or bleached it or did something, you're in an emotional state. You made a decision, full out, ready to go, and then a couple days go by or a couple weeks go by and you lost the way that you were feeling when you made that decision. And you get mad at yourself because you think, man, I had it for a minute and now I don't have it anymore. So many people ask me how they can motivate themselves. Like, have you guys ever just been like, hey, I want to motivate myself. How do I motivate myself? I cannot stress this enough. It is not about motivating yourself. It's not. Because there are some days even I struggle to motivate myself, and all my personalities. There are days that I struggle to motivate myself, and I do this for a living, right? It's not about motivation. It's about consistency in a habit that is so routine and so regular for you that you will not question it. That you will do it without thought. That's what a habit is. So how do you make a habit stick? The first thing that I want to ask you to do is to understand the goal. So on the PDF, which it's in the Let's Rise bio, if you guys want to grab it, it says it's essential to know the difference between what you want most and what you want now. What is the difference between what you want most and what you want now? Right? What I want most, like I'll tell you this week, so I'm getting ready for conference on Saturday, and whenever I'm getting ready for a conference, it is essential to me. Now, maybe other people would think differently, but it's essential to me that I eat really clean in the week leading up to conference, really clean. So for me, that looks like protein, vegetable, nuts, fruit, vodka. I mean, I do. That's not clean, but sometimes I have 4 kids. I sometimes just a vodka, LaCroix makes mommy happy. But in terms of everything else I put in my body, in the week before I'm leading up to a big keynote or a big thing or a big conference, I eat really clean. I try and have a lot of fish, so I've got a lot of omega-3s on top of what I'm taking in my supplement stack, because I can tell such a difference in the way I'm able to perform, in my energy level, and how quickly I have the thoughts that I need to have when I'm teaching. If you've ever seen me at conference, you know I'm on stage a long time, hours. And so I need to be able to react quickly. I need to be able to show up as my best self. I believe, and maybe you have your version of this, but I believe,
Facebook. We got a hardwire in there.
Oh, I think I gave up on Facebook.
Do you want me to try to get you back on?
No, I think we're going to take this and we're going to post it to Facebook. Thank you. It's just that Eliza sent me a note and said the Instagram wasn't working, and I was like, what's happening?
Instagram's up. We're watching
Okay.
it here.
Great. All right. We're going to keep going, guys. We're going to keep going. Thank you. So, forgive me for how many interruptions there have been today. When I eat clean, I can tell such a difference in the way that I'm able to perform. And for me personally, I believe, I know, nobody knows better than me how hard I've worked to get to this place, but I also believe that God gave me an opportunity and gave me a platform, and I believe that to whom much is given, much is expected. And so if I have been given the opportunity to show up for you guys, to speak in this way, to have a following this large, to do a conference like we're doing on Saturday, then I, for damn sure, better do my very best to show up as my best self. And I know that my best self is being really thoughtful about what I take in the week leading up. And so what I want most is to just knock it out of the park for you guys on Saturday, those of you who are going. That's what I want most. But last night, I made spaghetti for the kids. I made spaghetti and French bread. It's their favorite thing. And when I do that, I take the sauce and I put it on top of either zoodles or spaghetti squash or steamed broccoli, and I sort of do like a veggie kind of version of spaghetti. What I wanted last night was the garlic bread I made. I really wanted that garlic bread. They were all eating garlic bread. They were so happy. And I do that thing where I'm like, okay, this is garlic bread. Who cares? Who cares? And normally I would say 100% who cares? Except two things that I remembered. Number one, I can tell such a difference when I'm taking, like when I have bread, pasta, anything like that, I can tell such a difference in my body. Not the way it looks, but the way it feels, the way I'm able to think, the inflammation, all of that. And two, if you saw earlier this week, if you didn't see it, go watch it on my IGTV. I talked to my friend Trent Shelton, and I cannot stop thinking about this thing that Trent said. He said, so many people focus on raising the ceiling, right? They focus on raising the ceiling in their lives. They want better habits. They want to they want to drink the water. They want to work out. They focus on the ceiling. But what they don't do, what they need to do is if you raise the ceiling, then you must also raise the floor. If you raise your ceiling, you must also raise your floor. Meaning if you try and level up, then you must also set a new standard for what you will not go below. And I've just been thinking about that a lot this week. And so last night, I was looking at the garlic bread and I was like, sis, because I talked to myself like that, not out loud, just in my head. I was like, sis, you can have all the freaking garlic bread you want on Saturday night. Like, in fact, if you guys saw, Beans is making a cheese board. Like, she's doing fresh baked bread. She does the most amazing cheese boards ever. And so I'm going back with my best girlfriends. We're going back to my house after Rise, and we're gonna have this amazing thing that Beans made for us. And I'm gonna just live my best life. But that is the difference between what I want now and what I want most. What we want now is typically something that is comforting, is something that we have had before, is something that we can fall back on. That is what we want now. But you have to remind yourself, what is the goal? What do I want most? And it's not set up in a way that is meant to deprive you. It's set up in a way that's meant to remind you of who you want to be. Who you want to be. And I hate this, like, most of us are given such a terrible relationship with food. I mean, were y'all raised with like really healthy relationships with food? Like, tell me, comment, give me a heart, give me a thumb. Tell me if you are someone who, like me, was raised with a very unhealthy relationship with food. Because most of the women I know were not raised to, I don't know how else to say this. They weren't raised to think that food was safe. Meaning, I did this program several years ago with a brand partner, and I can't even remember who, but it was a whole study on how much confusion people feel about what they're supposed to eat. that the majority of women in America feel very confused about food. They feel overwhelmed by making a choice. They're not sure what's healthy, what's not healthy. And then sometimes they get so frustrated because they feel like they don't know the answers that they're just like, screw it, I'll eat whatever, right? So most of us weren't raised to understand food, to see it as nutritious, to see it as a way that you could bless your body, to see it as fuel, to see it as celebration. We all have these really warped perceptions of food and nutrition in our lives that then affect a moment that says, oh, if you want the garlic bread, then, you know, there's that voice in the back of my head like, yep, you're total garbage. You should know better. You shouldn't even have this craving. You shouldn't even have this desire, right? Do you ever like have those conversations with yourselves where like just the fact that you want the thing that you said that you weren't going to crave, and then you're having the craving, and then you're like, yep, just further proof that there's something wrong with me, and so therefore I should just have it because see, I'm already so weak. It's already in my brain. There's no way that I can have the willpower, right? We go to this crazy extreme place because we're filling in the narrative about who we are, right? Instead of just pausing for a minute and asking ourselves, wait, what do you want most? And there are times in my life that I'm like, what I want most is this queso. Thank you very much. Great. But if you set a goal for yourself, whatever that habit is, there's that quote that's all over, you know, it's always on Pinterest and stuff when it comes to workout, that's like working out or changing your body or nutrition is like, can you keep the spirit that you started with long after that energy has left you? Can you keep the spirit? Can you cling to the spirit of like why you got the gym membership? Why you signed up for therapy even though it's so freaking hard? Can you keep the spirit of why you made that choice even after that, the way that you were feeling leaves your body? And the fastest way that I know how to get there is by reminding myself, what do I want most? Okay, so the first thing is you need to understand your goal. The second thing about this, and this is in the PDF, so I just want to touch on this really quickly, is oftentimes I feel like people will tell me what their goal is, and I think it's really powerful to unpack what the goal really is. Because when you have a goal that is, that there's only one roadmap to, it's incredibly limiting. What I mean by that is someone will say, you know, I hate weight. I don't think that it's an example of what health should be. I don't think it's a unit of measure that we should be using. I think your weight is the least interesting thing about you. But a conversation that I have a lot with women is they're like, I want to lose 50 pounds. I want to lose 20 pounds. I want to lose 10 pounds. And I'm like, okay, I hear you. Can I just ask, that's the only goal? That's the goal. Just wait. As opposed to, I want to have more energy so I can play with my kids. As opposed to, I'm tired of being tired at 5 p.m. As opposed to, I can't get out of bed in the morning because I'm exhausted. As opposed to, I have debilitating anxiety. If you can unpack what's really at the root of what it is that you want, it's so much more powerful because then there are a bunch of different habits that you can use to get you to that goal. But if you only say what the world tells you you're supposed to want, like, oh, I want to be a size 4. Great. So you're going to be a size 4, still struggling the way that you're struggling, still, you know, shopping late at night and putting yourself deeper into debt, and your relationship's in trouble, and you don't like the relationship that you have with your kids, but dang it, you're going to be a size 4. We have to get clear about what really matters and what we are really aiming at. And if you don't think that something like, you know, running yourself into debt because of shopping has anything to do with health, then you don't understand that health is not just the physical body, it's also emotional and mental too. So get clear on what it is that you want to do. The second thing is, y'all, you have to plan ahead. You have to plan ahead. If you are waiting until the moment that you need to do the thing to try and make the right choice, you're screwed. I know I keep saying that, but you really are. It's like if you are making the goal that you want to eat nutritiously and you want to eat more foods that bless your body and you want to have more greens and you want to have more protein or whatever, and you wait until you're hungry to make that choice for yourself, good luck. You have to plan ahead. This is all about intentionality. This is all about slowing yourself down. This is all about asking yourself better questions for how you can get to a place where, like, okay, for instance, I was saying to myself, I'm like, Rach, you got to eat more salmon. It was a conversation I had with myself today. I said, Rach, in my head, not out loud, you've got to eat more salmon. I said, you and I both know, yes, I'm talking to myself, and if you do not coach yourself like this, you guys, come on. I said, you and I both know that the omegas in salmon are so good for you, and you do not eat it regularly enough. And then I said, well, I don't eat it regularly enough because salmon's disgusting, and it tastes like salmon. And myself said, suck it up. Not really. But I had a conversation with myself this week, and I was like, okay, here's what we're going to do. When we go grocery shopping, we're going to make sure that every single week we're having salmon twice. You're going to buy the filet. You're not going to want to waste the filet. And so you're going to have to cook it, and you're going to eat it. And it's going to be so good for you. I have to plan ahead. Because if I wait until the moment where I'm like, the kids are at Dave's, I'm by myself, it's time to eat dinner, and I'm not planning ahead, I am absolutely gonna have chips and salsa for dinner. So, you gotta plan ahead. The third thing to make habits stick, you all probably heard me talk about this. You could have heard Gretchen Rubin talk about this. You could have heard, I forgot his name. One of my favorite books on this subject is The Power of Habit. If you have not read that, gosh, what is his name? Doesn't matter. Look it up, Power of Habit. It's called habit stacking. So if you want to add a great habit to your life, put it on the tail end of a habit you already have that you don't have to think about. So the goal with a habit is you want it to be so regimented and consistent and regular in your life that you don't consider it. And the example I always use is brushing your teeth. Unless you are gross, you brush your teeth twice a day. And for most of us, we don't have to consciously think about brushing our teeth. We just do it. I wake up in the morning, I brush my teeth. Before I go to bed at night, I brush my teeth. I don't consider it. I don't debate it. I don't try and talk myself out of it. I'm not like, oh man, but I'm loving this thing instead, so I'm not gonna. No, I brush my teeth because it's part of my daily routine. The key is, can you make something in your life that you want as part of your life as routine for you as brushing your teeth? And an easy way to do that is to stack the habit you want onto the back end of a habit you already have. So some of you said at the beginning, thank you, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg? I think so. Okay. The one that people said earlier is like, I want to drink more water. And so I say, fantastic. If you regularly brush your teeth, then I would put my reusable bottle of water filled up, ready to go, right next to my sink. So that I know, okay, every single time, Rachel, that you brush your teeth, you're going to chug this bottle of water. Right? I'm setting myself up until I start to create a habit that's so routine I don't think about it. All right? So, to make something stick, consider habit stacking. And then there's some things on the PDF that we put here if you want to do a little bit more work that's in here. One of the questions I get most often is people want to know how to navigate around bad habits. And I will tell you, number one, I always think that it is better to add something to your life than to restrict. So if you're trying to change your life, I always recommend that you add a bomb new habit instead of focusing on deleting a negative habit. I really think it's easier for us to add something to our lives than to subtract, especially when we first start. That's number one. Number two, we're digging into the topic of negative habit loops on Saturday. Number three, The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg, which I mentioned earlier. Number four, Claire just said, where can we get the PDFs? So Rise, which is our brand, they commented here, just like tap their picture and then their bio, the link is the PDF to download. Okay. Whew. What a weird live this was. We're all over the place today, you guys, but we are still here. So I have 15 minutes left and I would love to answer your questions, specifically as it pertains to habit. I know that was it's a massive topic to try and fit into only an hour. So I recommend that you read books on it. Girl Stop Apologizing digs into habit. The new book digs into habit. You can get those at the library. You don't even have to buy them. Yes, this video will be on IGTV, so you can watch it later, and we'll put it up on Facebook for all the people on Facebook who got kicked out. Someone just said, what is Acre? Something we're working on. It's nowhere near soon coming out. It's nothing that's happening anytime soon, but it's just something we're working on. You'll find out more later. Any tips to stop shopping? Molly said. Well, my first question would be understanding. So all my teaching is really just unpacking why you're doing something in the first place. So my question, Molly, would be, what's the thing that you're trying to fill in yourself that you are using shopping for? Because I could tell you tactics, right? I could say okay, make it as hard as possible, delete your credit card off of your computer, cut your credit cards up, make it hard for yourself to do these things. But those are tactics. That's not really treating the root cause, right? So there's symptoms and then there's a root cause. So you need to understand what the root cause is. That's not something I can help you with on live, but that is definitely something that you could work through in therapy. How much sleep do you feel is adequate? I really think that this is a question for, and tomorrow we're going to talk about sleep, I think. We're talking about mental, physical, and emotional health tomorrow at noon Central, if you guys want to dig into that one. Sleep really is something I think that is by person, because I love at least 8 hours of sleep, 9 if I can. But then I have friends who really don't need sleep and they feel like they do great on way less. So I don't want to judge. I think that you have to listen to what your body tells you need. What, Deb, you're using the Rise app? That makes me so happy. Oh my gosh. Also, why would you pay for that? I'll just give it to you for free. Okay, let's see. This is so good. How do I know if I need to give myself grace or push myself harder? Gosh, that is such a good question. To me, this is you have to really have self-awareness. You got to know yourself really, really well, because there are times in my life where I push myself really hard to my physical detriment. I made myself sick, so I was pushing too hard. And I am at a place, I don't know. Okay, let me say it this way. I am constantly checking in with myself. And maybe that's because, I showed you a conversation that I had about salmon. So I'm constantly coaching myself in my head. And so I'm asking myself questions hey, what kind of workout do we want to do today? And I'm we need to kick it. We need to kick our butt today. And part of me is I don't want to do that. And I'm no, today's the day. We got to push ourselves every once in a while. This is the day. And then there are other times where I'm you know what? I need a day of rest. I can just feel my body. So I really think this is about a conversation that you have with yourself. Check in. One of the easiest ways that I know of in my life to make sure that I'm staying in touch with everything here is journaling. Any notebook, any piece of paper, just, stream of conscious. What are the things you're thinking? Maybe you have some prompts or some questions that you ask yourself and you just write. And my advice on that is to give yourself a certain amount of time. Because if you just write until you have nothing else to say, you're going to write for 4 minutes. But if you say, I'm going to sit here for the next 30 minutes no matter what, you'll write for 4 minutes and you feel like you ran out of everything. And you're okay, I'm going to sit here and I still have a lot of time. And then all of a sudden, you start writing again. And the real meat, the juicy stuff, happens in that second part of your journaling. So how do you set habits when you have little ones? Great question, Chris. So, well, I'll tell you two things. One, I am incredibly schedule routine oriented with my kids and always have been. I find that it is so much calmer. I got 4 of them, right? It's chaos. And I just find that all of us feel calmer and more peaceful if we know what the routine is. We know exactly what to expect. It's going to kind of happen the same way over and over. I actually think there's freedom when you have routine. Some people feel like if you have routine, it's constricted, and I actually think it gives you more freedom because you have the routine of the stuff that you need to do, and beyond that, you get to just like live your best life. So with the kids themselves, I'm very into a schedule. You don't have to try and do everything at once. You could just try and schedule right now the part of your day that feels the easiest. So most people will be like, it's crazy, everything's wild, this sucks. Like, I gotta get a routine first for the morning. But if you're not used to having consistent routines, or the kids aren't used to having consistent routines, chances are that you'll start to do it, right? We'll be in state, we'll get really excited, we'll do the thing, and then a week goes by and it falls off. And I think that it is, just having experienced it growing up, I think it's really dangerous to be the kind of parent who always tells the kids that something's gonna happen. Oh, every Wednesday we're gonna do this thing, or like, hey, this is how we're gonna whatever. And then your kids sort of get excited with you, and then you as a parent kind of stop. And so rather than setting yourself up for failure if it's not something you're experienced with, I say build a routine around the part of your day that feels the easiest. Because if you can start consistency in something that feels easy and achievable, you'll stick with it. And it's more important that you stick with it in the beginning than that whatever you're sticking with is a great new habit. So I would start with the area of your life that feels easy, and then when you can do that consistently, then you take on the parts of your day that you're struggling with. So when trying to get out of being obese or overweight, how do you stop focusing on the number on the scale? So I can't tell you, when I went on my health journey 10 years ago, I was probably 55 pounds more than I am today. And the only reason I give you that weight as a measurement is because I'm 5'2". And 55 extra pounds on a 5'2" frame is a lot. My back hurt, my legs hurt. It was deeply uncomfortable in my own body. And I can tell you honestly that back then, I didn't have the grace with myself. I didn't have this perspective of health. And back then I really was pursuing it as numbers on a scale. But I know this in my life right now, but I can't speak from the place that you are at in your life. But I know for a fact, I know this, that if you focused on feeling, if you focus on energy, if you focus on mental clarity, how good your sleep is, are you able to wake up, do you feel motivated, how's your energy, how's your emotions, if you focus on living your life in a way that set those things up for success, you would lose weight. You just would. And I'm speaking specifically to someone who said, I'm obese and I'm trying to work on this thing. If you focus on feeling good, loving yourself, eating foods that bless your body, which is greens and protein and sometimes a margarita, I don't know. If you really focus on energy level, motivation, momentum, instead of numbers on a scale, you would get the same result, but you would get it from a place of love and celebration and appreciation of this body instead of numbers. And just a really tactical thing, if you don't want to focus on numbers on a scale, get rid of your scale. Get rid of your scale. That's how. Okay. Do you think that being mad at yourself can be a good catalyst for change? Hell yeah, it can be a good catalyst. Staying mad at yourself can be detrimental. But acknowledging that you've made a mistake, or acknowledging that you let someone take advantage of you, or acknowledging that you shouldn't have done that thing, that's an incredible catalyst so long as you don't stay in that mindset. Catalysts are powerful. Catalysts can change everything. But once you've made the decision to make change and move forward, don't stay stuck in that mindset. So there's a lot of, I love this. There's a lot of really great advice for our friend who just asked the question about how do you not focus on the scale. I see Living Well with Sherry said, just remind yourself it's not going to come off overnight. She steps on the scale every 16 weeks, so that's incredible. Fit Fab Bella said, I'm 200 pounds overweight, and instead of the scale numbers, I focus on tying my shoes or fitting in a booth or being less out of breath. That is freaking awesome. You know why? Because those are also like really tactical things that you also get to have that moment of like, I freaking did that, right? Let me just like give you this thing. Let me give you this little thing as my last moment for today. I never was athletic as a child. I never in my life thought that I would be a long distance runner. And maybe y'all have heard me tell this story before, but I did my first 5K, and then I did my first half marathon, and I signed up for a full marathon. And this was several years ago, 5 years ago. And the day of the marathon, it was this freak situation in LA. It was 92 degrees in February. That is not normal. They do the marathon in February so that it's cold. So I've been training in cold and running in rain, and then crazy fluke thing, the day of the LA marathon, it's 92 degrees. And I had never in my life, like I'd run a half, I was so scared. Like if you've never done that before, you're so scared. And when you're training for something like that, you don't ever run your full miles. So you get up to like 20 miles, a marathon's 26.2, you get up to 18 or 20 miles, and then they tell you that they're like, don't worry, the day of your energy, your excitement will carry you the remaining 6 miles. But I gotta tell you, if you've never done that before, it's terrifying. You're like, will I? Like, can you imagine training for all of those months and getting to mile 20 and then like passing out and you can't finish? So that fear is in my heart, coupled with the fact that it's 92 degrees. It's so hard. It was an out of body, in body experience. It was one of the most holy, divine experiences of my life, second only like to giving birth. I can't think of another thing where my body and like God and nature, and I can't believe I'm doing this and nobody's doing it with me, and I'm like running those miles by myself. And mile 18 was awful, so hard. It was so hot and it was so hard, and it like messed my head up, and I'm still going, and I can tell you guys, I can get teared up right now thinking of that last mile. I never did anything like that in my whole life. And look at this, 5 years later, the pride that I have in myself because I did this thing that I didn't think my body was capable of. And I can't tell you how many times that I've gone through something hard and I go back to mile 25 and I remember how strong I am, and I remember that I can do hard things, and I remember that I kept going. And so I think there's something so profound for you setting a goal for yourself or creating habits around getting to experience that feeling, getting to experience tying your shoes, getting to experience better breathing, getting to experience better sleep, getting to experience whatever that moment looks like for you is so much more profound, because I've lost and gained a lot of weight in my life. I can't come up with one memory, not one, of getting on a scale. I don't have a single memory of getting on a scale and having it be a profound experience. But getting to a place where I had the energy to do something I did not think my body was capable of, I have for the rest of my life. And I can tap into that moment anytime I need it to keep going. So focus on a goal that is for you, that is for an experience, and that will make you a better version of yourself. All right, I'm back tomorrow, hopefully with better internet. We are talking, it's the final day of this coaching. We're talking about more tactical habits, mental, physical, and emotional health. There'll be another PDF. I'm here at noon Central. On Saturday is my last Rise conference for the year. It's me, Jay Shetty, Trent Shelton, Kelly Levesque, Dave Hollis, Britt Barron, Chris Chandler, Nick Vujicic, Stacy Flowers, Assam the DJ, 9+ hours of incredible programming, all talking about how do you have energy to live the life that you want to live? How do you love yourself? How do you love your body? How do you create the vision for the life that you want to have to reach for those moments of joy? That is on Saturday. You can find out more information on theholliscode.com. If you can't afford a ticket, no worries. Meet me back here tomorrow, and we're going to jump into another day of